एक बार फिर अस्सलाम alaikum. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. One more topic with WOW. We've been discussing so many important topics and learning such amazing things over the last 2 days. I, for one, have learned so much, interacted with so many interesting people doing such great work, and just leaves me with a feeling of community, a safe space, and having more faith in my country and my countrymen when I meet like-minded people, saying the right things, and you feel like you're safe in a place to say whatever you like, feel what you're feeling, and not be scared by it. So thank you, WOW, for giving us this space, and thank you to everybody who's here. इस वक्त हम अपने अगले सेशन की तरफ जाने वाले हैं. It's about men, masculinity, and allyship. And this is something that is also taken off in Pakistan over the last few years, or at least in my knowledge. I see more and more of it online, on social media, people discussing men's roles, their mental health, their relationships with one another. How do men support one another when it comes down to their mental health, emotional health? And in this powerful session that we're really, really looking forward to at this moment in time, we will in depth discover and talk about how men show up as allies in the pursuit of gender justice. So this session is going to be examining masculinity, how it shapes power, responsibility, and inequality, and moving beyond performative allyship. Haha, hasi mazak, tum to mere yaar ho. But when it comes down to emotional literacy, it comes down to everyday choices that men make that either reinforce or challenge patriarchal norms. So I think it's a very, very important conversation to have world over, but more so in countries like ours, where we need to challenge these patriarchal norms, जो ना चाहते हुए भी हमारे घरों में, हमारे वर्क प्लेसेस में हम जितना भी समझें कि हम समझ गए हैं, it's so deeply embedded within each of us that we need to constantly question ourselves. So drawing on lived experience, our panelists today are going to be exploring how gendered power dynamics impact women, marginalized communities, and frontline workers, and why reimagining masculinity is essential at this point in time. So there's going to be, hopefully, a grounded solution-oriented discussion, which is going to invite men, not as saviors, but as partners, learning how to work with one another, and moving forward, creating a space, and how neither a man or nor a woman should dominate it, but share it in equal parts. And इस पैनल के लिए मैं इस वक्त दावत देना चाहूँगी ऑन टू स्टेज डॉक्टर तला रहमान हु इज़ गोइंग टू बी मॉडरेटिंग दिस सेशन. तो उनके लिए बहुत सारी तालियां हो जाएं प्लीज़. डॉक्टर तला इज़ हियर. साथ ही साथ वी आर गोइंग टू बी जॉइंड बाय a very well-known psychologist, Mr. Imran Zafar. He's here as well. Thank you, sir, for being here. 3 wonderful men, and we're waiting for our final panelist, Mr. Gibran Nasir. If he is here, Amine is going to tell me that he is 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes away, but he's on his way. Lekin saath hi saath, what are we expecting through this conversation? Expect an honest talk. Honesty is always key. Social conditioning, हमारे मर्दों को भी सिखाया जाता है कि भाई आपकी बीवी हैं तो आप का ये रोल है और आपकी बीवी का वो रोल है. Accountability, and how can men show up consistently? So बस आपसे एक ही दरख्वास्त है, अपने मोबाइल्स को ज़रा साइलेंट पे रखिएगा. You're more than welcome to make your videos, but of course use of flash or actions or too much conversation can be distracting. So let's keep the space respectful. Disagreeing is okay, but calling out one another, obviously I don't think aisa kuch hoga. So let's begin. Just waiting on Gibran, who has just entered. बहुत सारी तालियां आनी चाहिए Gibran नासिर के लिए. ओह, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. है ना, अब आपके लिए नाचना भी चाहिए. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. Not at all. We are happy to have you here. If you need 2 minutes, take your 2 minutes. And मैंने एक introduction करा दिया. Good. Are you sure? ریڈی؟ ٹھیک ہے، اس کو ہٹا دیں، ہم تھوڑا سائڈ پہ کر دیتے ہیں، جگہ بنا دیتے ہیں، ان کو مائکس دے دیتے ہیں. اینڈ لیٹ می جسٹ ہینڈ اوور.
Hello, hello. Yeah. You'll get chai after a good session. So, there you go. We've got chai. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Thank you. So, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and I welcome you formally. My name is Dr. Talha Rahman. I'm a co-founder and CEO at BME. BME is a mental health organization which helps individuals and organizations to achieve better mental health outcomes. So today we are gathered to talk about men and how we show up in spaces and in our roles and identities that we carry as husbands, brothers, colleagues, friends, a male friend to another male individual, and vice versa. And how these identities shape our behaviors in the rooms that we are in, be it at our homes, our workplaces, or in the society. I have with me two gentlemen today. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mr. Imran Zafar, who is ex-CEO at Green Star and a clinical psychologist. His work is around one session that I have attended. I'm sure his work is more than that. One thing that I really took away from that session, he talked about attachment styles and how attachment styles as we grow up develop and form our personalities and our relationships, so on and so forth. Our next guest is Mr. Jibran Nasir, who's an advocate at the Supreme Court of Pakistan. He is also a political rights activist, and his practice focuses on heinous crimes, fundamental rights, and the third one I'm missing, Jibran, you can probably fulfill. Not a joke. For people who don't know, we are related, first cousins. And I think non-profit work and political activism, we started off together, and he went on steroids and I took a back seat. So before I go to my panelists, I would like to throw a prompt towards the audience, and we'll come back to it once we have thought about it and reflected, especially for the men sitting in this room. When was the last time you were vulnerable with a male colleague or a friend, and you felt that you will not be judged or put in a box? With that, I would like to go to Mr. Imran. Although the session is about allyship, but we would not just focus on it, but look at how are the foundations of a person are developed and how we show up as men, as allies. So my first question to you, Imran Saab, is we look at men in the leadership positions. We usually see competence and control. But behind that, there's often pressure people don't see. What was that something you've held quietly in your different roles over the years that you thought that people could not see?
Wow. I think generally the pressure to perform and the pressure to provide, and I think everyone has that. I don't know if I hold it particularly myself. I think to some degree all of us hold that within us. I think it's associated often with masculinity, but actually I'd encourage us to think about whatever the experiences are, and I'll speak about one or two experiences as you've asked, but to look at sort of masculinity first as to what it means to you. I think we all have the same understanding of it, but just to get a check-in on, give me a quality associate with masculinity. Is there anyone who's going to pipe in? What do you associate with masculinity? Linear. Okay. Single track focus. Okay. Anything else about masculinity? Protection. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Other people, anything else that you associate that you think is clear? Yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. And there is a lot, there are different reasons perhaps why men face it given our social conditioning and parenting, but yeah. Leadership. Okay. So actually, the reason I'm also asking is because to me, we might associate these things with masculinity, but as we can see, none of these things need to belong only to men. There's no reason these things can't belong to all of us. And the same is true the other way around. So if I can encourage you to just think for a second of what does femininity mean to you? Softness. Strength. Cyclical. Linear and cyclical. I am getting okay. And so, again, these qualities also, there's no need for them to be only, the responsibility of women. These qualities are important. They enhance our life. There's something for women, femininity, individuality, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think men tend to all be in gray suits and women. What I'd like to sort of maybe first set as a stage from my own way of thinking about this subject is there's a whole bunch of qualities out there that help us thrive and deal with, life in the best way possible in good times and in bad. And we're actually limiting ourselves by just, going with the conditioning and social norms that we've been given since childhood. But I think to open up, one of the things I often find is that when, I'm being told about masculinity by someone, it's almost like critical that I have that quality. But I think there's a good reason that that quality exists. If I'm feeling stressed about performing and providing, then okay, and maybe I'm giving it too much priority, linear, just have one focus. But at the same time, there's something good in it as well. And I think a good place to come to is from appreciating the positive aspects of each of these traits, whether they're masculine or feminine. And then the limitations and then the challenges we face, like, just being a leader or being part of a company where you're expected to lead. Limiting, myself to how I believe I'm supposed to project myself and I'll achieve the outcomes without really considering all the other good that can come from some of the other more feminine qualities, which are also accessible to men, just like I think all the masculine qualities are accessible to women, positive and negative. So just, I think more than going back to those days, a recent one was that I was talking to someone who heads HR, and she was telling me about a problem she has that they have offices in about 10 countries. And she's saying, the Kenya office, she's the head of HR globally, and she's like, the Kenya office went and complained to the global CEO about something to do with HR, some complaint they had against HR. And she's saying, what is this? Why didn't he come to me first? He should have routed it through me. Then it didn't work out. Then we could have gone to the CEO, and she was, getting anxious. Women and men get anxious. And I was like, in my mind, and that's what I struggled with, I think, as a CEO, my mind was, okay, what is the structure or the system that's going to take care of this problem for her, right? Like, as a leader, if I were looking at this problem, I'd be like, okay, we'll set up a matrix reporting system so that first HR has to come to you before it goes to your line supervisor, and I'm thinking all these linear things in my head. And then she said, oh, no, you know what, I figured it out. I said, what did you figure out? I'm going to have a coffee online with all the country heads every week. And then I'll know everything before they have to go anywhere else. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, first, I'll be honest, I was like, what kind of silly solution is that? That was my conditioning. Okay, why would having a coffee solve your problems? But actually, if I think of how it limited my own career, not having that ability to see that building relationships, being caring, talking, communicating, is such an important quality to have as a leader, have as a man or a woman. And it just kind of opened up my mind to how there's a lot more to leadership than just knowing systems and targets and sort of, and late in life, I admit, but nevertheless, it's something which I feel I expect that's too soft. And actually, my predecessor at Green Star, the CEO prior to me, was a woman. And I hate to confess this in this forum, but I tell you, all day, what she did was she would walk up and down the entire office, meet people in the corridors. How's your son? What's happening? How are you? But that caring kind of approach made people believe in her as a leader and that she cared and put in their most. And I was much more closed, less communicative. Yes, open door policy, you can come in any time, but that's like more from the point of view of strategy rather than coming from being, living it. So yeah, there have been lots of challenges that kept me from, I think.
Thank you for that. So one thing that shines out is being authentic and carrying your authentic voice wherever you go, and be genuine on what your beliefs are, your values are, and how you would want to portray them, and rest follows, I think, rather than just having a policy document saying that it's an open door, but I am an expressionless boss sitting on my desk with a barrier to entry. That if someone comes to me, they're going to get the A-fall. Gibran, coming to you, when you're in public life, people see the courage, the resilience out there. But what is the actual cost behind the scenes? What goes on behind the scenes?
I think it's a very confusing question. What goes behind the scenes? In what context? A lot of things are going in your head.
What's the vulnerability? The vulnerability is that people don't see, but they see courage.
I think you cannot have courage if you're not afraid. You need to have fear before you have courage. Courage is the ability to overcome or control your fear. So the vulnerability is there to begin with. But I don't want to deep dive into the challenges I face, particularly because I have chosen a specific path, which is not the usual routine life. I mean, as a human rights activist or as a political rights activist, especially in a country where there has been political turmoil, you're perhaps taking on more than what usually people are. I believe it will be beneficial for the audiences, and it will be more relatable to them if we talk about life in our normal routine with our companions and with our male colleagues and counterparts, and how the day-to-day struggle hampers our growth or perhaps pushes us backwards. And even the day-to-day conversations I, for example, would have with my partner, my wife, in her daily life, in her decisions. So I would like to, in fact, talk about that, this word, I came across it, this jargon of being an ally or allyship around the year 2014 and 15. And I've never really understood it as such. That is it a task which has been given to us, which we should aspire to be every day, or are we simply talking about normal human decency? That be decent with people around you, rather than having to, achieve this special or be at a pedestal that, I'm an ally because I'm living my life in a certain way. Whereas when you think about it, that the kind of support structure your female companions or colleagues are asking from you is what would translate into normal human decency. The belief that everybody has personal goals and ambitions, not just men in our society, because if everybody has a right to get education, then everybody has a right to, of course, get exposed to the different wonders of the world, the different career paths, and also their own potential. And that exposure and that education is bound to make you dream for a better life and, grow out of your mold. And then I think it's a responsibility of the men around you to realize that women are in some form and manner in the same ship with us in that trajectory. And just like we need a certain kind of support structure from the women in our household or the women in our family or in our life, we being the only counterpart also need to provide them the same kind of support and structure. And from that perspective of empathy, that we are all again as a human race, competing with each other and in a cycle and trying to realize our potential, I think that starts to rationalize each other's struggles more. And however, I do believe that this thing what I'm talking about does not exist in an isolation, this conversation. it carries and will always carry the baggage, or you can say, if not the baggage, the conditioning rather. That's a more neutral word. The conditioning of your own culture, the conditioning of your own religion, the conditioning of your own experience as a childhood, the kind of model father or model mother or model society member, role models you were presented. And we also need to empathize with each other when we are having conversations, whether it's in the office, workplace, at home, or with our friends, that where the other person is coming from. And why, for example, for a friend of yours, becoming a professional or not becoming a professional may not matter. But to another friend of yours in the same group, becoming a professional, having your own job, having ability to earn your own money, even though albeit it may not be that much, may mean life and death or maybe a defining point for them. And that's because of different struggles they've been on. So I just believe that having conversation in that realm of human decency is what allyship is and how we should approach. And it does not mean that we are without contradictions. It does not mean that I'm not always daily questioned on the policies I hold publicly and the views and values I may subscribe to privately in my private life. And that's also a struggle as well. But you also need to realize that being indifferent, being part of being liberal or part of being progressive, is also being indifferent to other people's private lives, is also being, not picking. جیسا ہمارے معاشرے میں ہوتا ہے کہ لوگوں کے لباس پہ تبصرہ کریں یا ان کے لائف سٹائل پہ تبصرہ کریں یا ان کے رہنے سہنے کے ڈھنگ پہ تبصرہ کریں یا جو بھی انہوں نے چوائسیز اپنی زندگی میں کی ہیں اس پہ تبصرہ کریں. اور کبھی کبھی ہم ہوتے ہیں کہ جو جیسے جی رہا ہے اسے جینے دو. اب جو جیسے جی رہا ہے اسے جینے دو. ایک یہ بھی بات ویو ہو سکتا ہے دیٹ یو آر انکریجنگ دیم ٹو لیو دا لائف اسٹائل دے آر لیونگ, اور یو جسٹ سیئنگ کہ اٹس ناٹ مائی کنسرن, آئی ایم انڈفرنٹ ٹو اٹ. ٹھیک ہے, اٹ ڈز ناٹ بادر می, دے شوڈ ہیو دیئر اون اسپیس ٹو ڈو سو, بٹ دیٹ ڈز ناٹ مین دیٹ یو آر انڈفرنٹ ٹو یور اون پرسنل لائف ایز ویل. سو اکثر یہ ہم مردوں کے اندر ہمارے معاشرے میں دیکھتے ہیں کہ ہاں تم پبلک میں بیٹھ کے تو بڑی پروگریسو باتیں کرتے ہو اور گھر کے اندر تم ٹپیکل وہی پیٹریارکل مرد ہو. بیکاز پبلک میں شاید انڈفرنٹ ہونا آسان ہے. پبلک کے اندر وہ آپ کا اپنا ہاؤس ہولڈ نہیں, چونکہ جب آپ اپنے ہاؤس ہولڈ میں آتے ہیں چاہتے نہ چاہتے ہوئے, یور اون کنڈیشننگ, یور اون اپ برنگنگ ایز فرام یور چائلڈہڈ اینڈ دا کنڈیشننگ آف سوسائٹی وہ بیچ میں آتی ہے. سو آئی بلیو یہ بھی جو پروگریسو ہونا یا لبرل ہونا یا ڈیسنٹ ہونا یا الائے ہونا, یہ ایک کانسٹنٹ اسٹرگل ہے. آئی ہیو بین ہیونگ دس فار دا پاسٹ 5 years with my wife, and she's helping me become a more decent man, I would say, every day.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Gibran. One thing that stood out was کہ عمل اور call or fail میں تضاد جو پایا جاتا ہے. It's because it's easy to say in front of a room of people that I'm an ally, but جب آپ انٹرنلی گھر میں جاتے ہیں آپ کا فیل ویسے نہیں ہے, تو دیٹ از دا ڈفرنس, رائٹ؟ ہاں. So, and that has been a journey for you as well, a learning curve that you have gone through, and I think you're going through it as you move forward in life. So, Imran Sahab, from an attachment lens, as I mentioned that, I'm a fan of your attachment theories and your conversations around that. How does masculinity become a strong mechanism for emotional insecurity in men?
So very quickly a follow-up to what you were saying, because I think it was really important. Decency, what is allyship? It's decency. And to me, it's a little bit like the fact that college admissions are now open to all, including blacks and women and every other race, without discrimination. That's decency. I think allyship does go a little bit also further than that. I think that's the first step, the decency, and it's almost like affirmative action where you make an extra effort because they have been disadvantaged and there are more challenges socially and at home for them and in the workplace. So I remember there was a case of some sexual harassment on WhatsApp by someone in the office. And the head of HR was like, look, nothing happened. We don't want to create a noise. This guy's important. He's senior and whatever. And so there are all kinds of pressures. Now, to be decent would be to, yes, no, we're going to do something, right? And I think in allyship, to actually be able to provide more care to the person who has had that experience, and also to be able to, not completely demonize. It's not to support the act, but not to demonize, but to actually work with the challenges in the man that allows him to be that way. Because it's very easy to dismiss people. He's going to go and do that somewhere else. And so that to me is like, and for women not to be supported in that way, or just to know, okay, at least my voice was heard and something happened. But there's more to it than just being decent. I think at least until we get to a point where it's reasonably balanced, the playing field for all of us. So decency applies to both, for how people behave with men and to women, and trying to give equal opportunity.
So basically, to put it in a Gen Z terminology, it's the bare minimum
Yeah.
that one needs to
Yeah.
achieve before they move.
And that bare minimum is already a lot.
Yeah.
Because decency is not as common as we'd like to believe it is. So yeah, totally. Let's get that far, but also to the degree that there's more proactive, kind of action and support that can be provided. And frankly, it's vice versa. I think women can do a great job of being allies in terms of themselves, but also men, by helping them see that there are other qualities that they can bring into the workspace. And just, I think coming from a place of being supportive and understanding is much likelier to bring about change than being critical and blaming, and you're like this, or you are doing it wrong. So I think that kind of openness and safety, I think if we can create that kind of environment, then we're already on our way to allyship. And I think, yeah, more awareness in terms of what is needed to go a little further, but first let's get to decency. I agree. And sorry, your question about attachment styles and sort of insecurities. So, look, I think the insecurities men have through and because of the attachment styles they develop in childhood are not that different from what women develop. I think there's some qualities that are more likely. So, for example, men are more likely, statistically, to be avoidant attachment. They will tend to shut down, numb themselves, disengage, need space. And women tend statistically to be more anxiously attached partners, which means that, and that's what society has conditioned them for. But also there's a certain amount of biology involved in this, which I'm not going to get too much into, but even for masculinity, when we say men have to be tough and strong and independent, there is some biology behind that, because there's a higher load of testosterone in male bodies, and it was needed for survival in order to go out and hunt 10,000 years ago when we were in caves. Now, unfortunately, biological evolution takes hundreds of thousands of years. We don't need to do that anymore, but we're still wired with testosterone in a different way to women. Similarly, women have other hormones, progesterone and estrogen, and that is coming from a place of, gearing yourself up for motherhood, which nature has built into our DNA. And we have not evolved. Society doesn't anymore require the kind of strength and protection that women might have needed, because men were stronger and are stronger physically just by biology. And when there's a lion outside your cave, then yes, men should be there to try and make something happen. Women should too, but at the end of the day, men will be stronger just genetically. And in the same way, when it comes to carrying and some of the hormones that are necessary for childbirth and rearing children, women tend to be caring. But now, because we don't need them for basic survival or basic sort of, functions, there's no reason all of us can't, there's no reason that we can't all take advantage of some of these qualities that we know help us thrive. Women are now they're stronger, they are more independent. Men can be more caring, they can be, able to fulfill their needs, which are related to being more open and engaged and connected rather than shut down. So I think in terms of sort of, how it affects masculinity, attachment styles, there are women who will be avoidant, there are men who will be anxious in relationships. So I think a lot of the attachment style stuff just works on how your parents brought you up, and the environment you had at home. whereas, I think some of the biological markers bring different challenges to men in terms of being able to relate or coming from a place of anger sometimes because, they've got more testosterone. Try going on steroids. You will see how anger comes up with just hormones, and so some of those challenges men, I think, have more of a challenge with.
Thank you, but I would respectfully disagree. I do understand the hormonal mix and how the biology works, but we don't really have control in what gender we are born with, which household we are born in, and how our parents treat us until we are at a certain age when we have our own free will and agency that we could command. But when we have that free will and agency, I think most of our lives is post-puberty that, we spend alone apart from our parents. In a Pakistani household, you would say that majority of your life you're staying with your parents, but you do see that shift of control from parents to children, especially men in the household, and how that happens very naturally. But we're not, as men, we're not trained or prepared to take that role on, responsibly. And secondly, what I think is that although there are hormones in play, but there are also gyms and parks to run and burn those hormones and testosterone and use them.
Which further strengthens
Yeah.
that sort of.
Yeah, and how one can channelize their anger in different ways rather than just, I would say, lashing on to the other person, be it any gender, so to say.
I think that speaks to the point that, as an adult, we have agency and we can choose all the spectrum of qualities that will help us in our own lives in the ways that we would like to. If I believe that being more nurturing with my children or with my colleagues or with whoever I meet is actually what makes for a better outcome for me, to be more caring, to be more considerate, and if those things are perhaps, require a level more of engagement and vulnerability than I've been conditioned to as a child and as a man, that you hold your own and you don't have to get so involved, then it's up to me at that stage to make that choice. And then I will say again that I think, a triggered state where your nervous system is dysregulated is no place that'll help you actually achieve those choices and make those decisions that you need to in order to show up to be what you're saying, that I now know as an adult, that I want to be more caring, I want to be more open, I want to be more vulnerable. Just thinking it doesn't do it. And I'd say that the foundation is creating safety. And that safety comes from being with each other and being open with the people who are safe for us first, and creating more safety in our environments and in our relationships. If you can get safety, then you can choose pretty much anything. You can show up in ways that would surprise you, and to work on that safety first. Just to have that in the office, at home. And I think that perhaps, I don't know how you've experienced home life. It seems to have been sort of, a journey for you. But if you're feeling safe, this is my person, they're actually looking out for me, and if they're telling me something, it's coming from a place of, care. And to give that openness and consideration to them, I think that safety first, rather than being triggered that I'm being criticized or being told this is not okay. I think that just shuts us down or makes us dig our heels in even more.
Any thoughts that you have, Jabran? Intently listening. So, I'll pivot from what I've written down for you, but over the years, one thing that I have observed in your public speaking endeavors is, especially when you talk about political parties and their manifestos and women empowerment and allyship, but not calling it allyship, in different words they're mentioning it. We see that is not embodied when these parties come in power most of the time. What do you think that gets triggered? It's more like, a tick box that you put in, and you move forward because your electoral is not really interested in listening to that.
लेकिन मैं दोबारा घूम फिर के ह्यूमन डिसेंसी पे आऊँगा, और शायद जिस तरह से मैं डिसेंसी समझता हूँ, मैं समझा नहीं सका बाकी दोस्तों को. हमारे यहाँ सेग्रीगेशन, हमारे यहाँ नहीं, अमेरिका में 1861 کے اندر سلیوری بند کر دی گئی تھی. افرمیٹیو ایکشن کہہ لیں یا ایگزیکٹو ایکشن کہہ لیں, پریزیڈینشیل آرڈر آیا اینڈ سلیوری واز ابالشڈ اراؤنڈ the 1860s. I was more comfortable with the previous mic. I think this is causing a... بٹ آپ کی جو لنچنگ ہے آف دی افریقن امریکن اور پبلک ہینگنگ ہے اور کیسٹریشن ہے, دیٹ واز گوئنگ آن تھرو آؤٹ دا 1920s and 30s. Segregation ended throughout that time, but blacks were not welcomed or celebrated on campuses up till 1970s, and still in certain parts people are still facing racism. ہمارے یہاں پاکستان کے اندر we have taken executive action and included a 30% reserve quota or 20% reserve quota seats for the minorities and women in assembly. But the same minorities and same women are still unable to get elected on general seats. The general populace does not go vote for them. Why? Because even though constitution کے اندر آپ نے amendments کر لیں, قوانین میں آپ نے amendments کر لیں, affirmative آپ نے ایکشن کر لیا, وہ ایک حد تک ٹوکنائزیشن رہتا ہے. وہ تب تک ٹوکنائزیشن رہے گا جب تک لوگوں کے رویے چینج نہیں ہوں گے, اور لوگوں کے رویے تب تک چینج نہیں ہوں گے جب تک ان کو یہ سمجھ میں نہیں آئے گا کہ واٹ ڈز اٹ مین ٹو بی اے ہیومن. انسان ہونے کے معنی کیا ہیں اور انسانی نعتوں اور رویوں کے معنی کیا ہیں. اور ہم نے اس چیز کو بلیو کرنا ہے کہ ہم کسی کے عورت ہونے پہ یا کسی کے غیر مسلم ہونے پہ یا کوئی بھی مائنورٹی ہونے کے اوپر تفریق نہیں کریں گے, اور اس کی صلاحیتوں کو پہچانیں گے, اور اگین اس بلیف میں جائیں گے کہ وہ بھی بہتر کل کے خواب دیکھتا ہے, اس میں بھی ہنر ہے, اس میں بھی اپنے پوٹینشیل کو پہچاننے کی صلاحیت ہے جیسے میرے میں ہے. تو یہ باقی ساری چیزیں اکثر ضروری ہوتی ہیں. کبھی کبھی آپ کو پتہ ہوتا ہے کہ یہ رویے چینج کرنے میں, یہ ڈیسنسی لوگوں کو سکھانے میں بہت ٹائم لگے گا, تو آپ ایگزیکٹو ایکشن کرتے ہیں, آپ افرمیٹیو ایکشن کرتے ہیں, آپ ریزرو سیٹس لے کے آتے ہیں, جو کہ اس کے بھی بینیفٹس ہیں. یہ نہیں کہ وہ ضروری نہیں ہے, آف کورس اٹ گوز ہینڈ ان ہینڈ, بیکاز ہم اگر نہیں ہیں عادی تو کسی طریقے سے ہمیں عادی بنائیے کہ ہم خواتین کو لیڈرشپ رولز میں دیکھیں. تو اگر اس کا ایک ذریعہ یہ ہے کہ ہم ان کو ایم پی اے یا ایم این اے بنائیں ریزرو سیٹس کے اوپر, تو لیٹ بی اٹ, بیکاز اس کے تھرو پھر وہ کیبنٹ منسٹرز بنتی ہیں, اور جب وہ کیبنٹ منسٹرز بنتی ہیں تو ہم دیکھ سکتے ہیں کہ یار یہ تو اس پچھلے جو میل حضرات تھے ان سے بہتر منسٹری چلا رہی ہیں. اور پھر کہیں نہ کہیں اگین فار ایگزامپل رویے چینج یوں بھی ہو رہے ہیں, اور اس کا سب سے جو اسٹارک ایکسپیرینس آپ کہہ لیں ایگزامپل ہے وہ بلوچستان ہے. آپ بلوچستان کی اگر تاریخ پڑھیں گے, کلچرل تاریخ پڑھیں گے, پولیٹیکل تاریخ پڑھیں گے, تو وارئرس سے اور سارے کے سارے مرد ہیں جن سے بھری پڑی ہے. اور پھر ایک سردار کلچر, اور اس کے اندر میسکولینٹی اور ماچو پنا, اور بس کسی نے ہماری طرف غلط آنکھ اٹھا کے بھی دیکھ لیا تو وہ ایک جنریشنل وار بن گئی. اور میں ریئل لائف ایکسپیرینسز سے کوٹ کر رہا ہوں جو میں نے خود ایکسپیرینسز کیے ہیں. بٹ آج اس صوبے کے اندر اس کی یوتھ کی جو سب سے مقبول آواز ہے, جو سب سے مشہور آواز ہے, جس کے پیچھے سب تمام لوگ کھڑے ہوئے ہیں, وہ ایک خاتون ہے مارنگ بلوچ, چونکہ وہاں پہ ایونچولی پچھلے اتنے سالوں کے اندر کوئی چیز ان کو سمجھ میں آ گئی کہ یہ جو انفورس ڈس اپیرنسز ہو رہی ہیں, یہ جو پولیٹیکل کریک ڈاؤن ہو رہا ہے, یہ خواتین بھی اتنا ہی سہ رہی ہیں جتنا مرد سہ رہے ہیں, بلکہ یہ شاید زیادہ سہ رہی ہیں, چونکہ مرد تو کسی کال کوٹری میں بند ہوتا ہے, اس کی گھر کی خواتین 10-10 سال تک پریس کلب کے باہر بیٹھی ہوتی ہیں اور روز پولیس سے ڈنڈے کھاتی ہیں. اور انہوں نے دیکھا یار کہ یہ تو ہم سے زیادہ بہتر ایشوز ووکلائز کر سکتی ہیں, یہ ہم سے زیادہ بہتر اسٹیمنا دکھا سکتی ہیں. تو کہیں نہ کہیں چیز, اینڈ آئی بلیو اٹ ول بی بیٹر فار دا بلوچ یوتھ ٹو کم فارورڈ کہ ہاؤ دس شفٹ ہیز ٹیکن پلیس. Maharang Baloch is not a Bhutto. The advantage or the enigma or the aura Benazir had even in her younger years because she was a daughter of Bhutto. And that was of course a launching pad, and then of course nobody takes away from her own charisma and her own prowess and her own capacity, but it was a launching pad of familiarity کہ جی بھٹو کی بیٹی ہے. Maharang Baloch کے والد کا نام تو کوئی جانتا بھی نہیں ہے کہ کون ہے, کہاں سے آئی ہے. And Baloch is a very generic kind of a description of which tribe you are or you tribe you not belong to. تو یہ ہمیں کہیں سمجھنے کی ضرورت ہے. اور چونکہ وہاں پہ رویے چینج ہوئے ہیں تو ان کے یہاں ایک نیا خزانہ گلدستہ نکل کے آیا ہے لیڈرشپ کا. مہارنگ اکیلی نہیں ہے, ان کے ساتھ سمی دین بلوچ ہیں, وہ بھی خواتین ہیں, بیبو بلوچ ہیں, وہ بھی خاتون ہیں, گلزادی ہیں, وہ بھی خاتون ہیں, مہزاب ہیں, وہ بھی خاتون ہیں. بی وائی سی کی جو سینٹرل لیڈرشپ ہے دیٹ از ایز ینگ ایز 15 years of age, جس کو لاکھوں نوجوان مرد فالو کرنے کو تیار ہیں. سو یہ رویے جو ہے چینج ہونے کی ضرورت ہے. کچھ کلچرز میں ہو رہے ہیں, کہیں پہ نہیں ہو رہے ہیں, اور جب تک ہم اس کو ایک لائف سٹائل بنا کے نہیں چلیں گے, افرمیٹیو ایکشن اور یہ باقی چیزیں بالکل ضروری ہیں, اس کو نہیں نگیٹ کیا جا سکتا, چونکہ کبھی کبھی وہ پروف آف کانسیپٹ دینا ہوتا ہے, لیڈرشپ رولز دے کے اور کلاس میں جگہ دے کے, ان کو فیلو اسٹوڈنٹس بنا کے, ان کو اسکالرشپس دے کے, ان کو آگے آف کورس, اور آپ نے لیونگ پلینگ فیلڈ جو ہے وہ بھی بیلنس کرنی ہے. مگر اگین ہم صرف یہ کہہ کے, بیکاز اگین پاکستان کے اندر سو مینی بیوٹیفل لاز, brilliant laws for the protection of women, ہمارا ڈومیسٹک وائلنس لا اتنا ایکسٹینسو ہے, آپ کو میاں گالی دے وہ سائیکولوجیکل ابیوز ہے. وہ اگر آپ کو تنگ کرے کہ میں مہینے کا جو خرچہ گھر کا وہ میں نہیں دوں گا یا ڈیلیٹ دوں گا, اور اس کو بلیک میل کرے اس کو لے کے, تو وہ فائنینشیل ابیوز ہے, پنشیبل بائی دا لا. وہ اگر آپ کی چال چلن کے اوپر شک کرے وہ سائیکولوجیکل ایموشنل ابیوز ہے. اگر وہ آپ کو طلاق کی دھمکی دے وہ سائیکولوجیکل ایموشنل ابیوز ہے. یہ میں اس قانون کی بات کر رہا ہوں جو صوبہ سندھ میں جہاں ہم بیٹھے ہیں 2013 سے نافذ ہے. forget about the typical domestic violence کہ اس نے ہاتھ اٹھا دیا اور اس نے مار دیا, وہ تو ہے ہی ہے, بٹ ایون وہ آپ سے بات چیت کیسے کرے گا. مگر آج آپ وہ کمپلین لے کے کسی میجسٹریٹ کے پاس, کسی رینڈم عام آدمی کے پاس نہیں, ایک لا گریجویٹ جس نے لا گریجویٹ کرنے کے بعد امتحان دیا ہے اور وہ میجسٹریٹ بنا ہے, ہی از اے جج ناؤ, اینڈ یو گو اینڈ ٹیک اے ڈومیسٹک وائلنس کمپلین ٹو ہیم اینڈ یو سمپلی سے کہ میرا میاں مجھے روز گندی گندی گالیاں دیتا ہے, اور دیکھیے اس کے اوپر کیا ایکشن لیں گے. اور وہ بولیں گے بی بی آپ کیا بات کر رہی ہیں, یا مجھے وہ گھر سے نکالنے کی دھمکی دے رہا ہے, یا وہ مجھے گھر سے نکال چکا ہے, مجھے آج آرڈر دیجیے کہ مجھے گھر میں ریسٹور کیا جائے. وہ آپ کی شکل دیکھے گا, اور میں ریئل کیسز بتا رہا ہوں جو میں نے خود کیے ہیں. وہ 7 دن کا نوٹس دے گا میاں کو جواب دینے کے لیے. ہم جج صاحب کو بولیں گے کہ ان خاتون کو آج اپنے گھر میں نہیں رکھیں گے تو یہ 7 دن سڑک پہ کہاں رہے گی. آئی ایز اے لائر ہیو ہیڈ ٹو ارینج اکاموڈیشنز at say a place like Gymkhana Club or at a hotel, whatever we could afford, because the woman was thrown out of the house without any money, without any credit card, without anything, and the judge was like 7 din ka notice dete. چونکہ لا تو ہے, ایگزیکٹو ایکشن تو ہو چکا, رویے نہیں تبدیل ہو رہے. یہ وہی رویے ہیں جو ریپ وکٹمس یا سیکشل ابیوز وکٹمس کے ساتھ جو ہے پولیس تھانے میں نہیں کا کہتے ہیں چینج ہو رہے ابھی تک. چونکہ ہم کہیں نہ کہیں سوچ کے بیٹھے ہیں کہ عورت کی ایک جگہ ہے, وہ یہ کمرہ ہے, اب اس کمرے سے باہر نکلے گی تو معاشرے میں تو خطرے ہیں, پھر کوئی نہ کوئی خطرہ آپ کو لاحق ہو جائے گا. تو بی بی کیوں کمرے سے باہر نکلی تھی؟ دیکھو ہمارے گھر کی عورتیں کمرے میں بیٹھی ہوئی ہیں, ان کے ساتھ نہیں ہوتا ریپ, ان کے ساتھ نہیں ہوتا سیکشل ابیوز. تو یہ اب مجھے نہیں پتا کون چینج کرے گا, کیسے چینج کرے گا, کس سطح پہ چینج کرے گا, مگر یہ چینج کرنے کی ہمیں ضرورت ہے. صرف اسمبلی کے ذریعے اچھے قوانین لا کے جو معذرت کے ساتھ ای یو کو امپریس کرنے کے لیے لائے جاتے ہیں. ای یو کا ایک ڈیلیگیشن آتا ہے اور کہتا ہے کہ جی آپ کے یہاں وومن پروٹیکشن لا نہیں, ہم کہتے ہیں کہ دیکھیں ہم نے بنا دیا 10 پیج کا. وہ پروٹیکشن لا کبھی اسمبلی میں ڈسکس بھی نہیں ہوا ہوتا ڈیٹیل کے اندر, اس کی کوئی امپلیمنٹیشن پولیس فورسز میں کبھی نہیں کی گئی ہوتی, اس کی امپلیمنٹیشن کبھی بیوروکریسی میں نہیں کی گئی ہوتی. ہم ان کو دکھانے کے لیے بھرے پڑے ہیں ہمارے پاس. چائلڈ پورنوگرافی کے لاز, بتیرے لاز, چائلڈ پورنوگرافی کے لاز ہیں, مگر آپ ڈارک ویب پہ چلے جائیں تو پتہ چلتا ہے جی سب سے زیادہ کانٹینٹ, ون آف دا لارجسٹ کانٹینٹ پروڈیوسنگ کنٹریز از پاکستان. تو یہ رویے ہمارے بہت جگہ چینج ہونے کی ضرورت ہے. اور وہ ہم کیسے کریں کہ ہم برداشت نہ کریں عورت کو ورک پلیس میں, ہم سیلیبریٹ کریں عورت کو ورک پلیس میں. اور وہ سیلیبریشن جو ہے وہ صرف ایک ایوارڈ دے کے یا ایک پوزیشن دے کے نہیں ہوگی, وہ آپ کو عورت خود بتائے گی کہ میرا ڈیلی ایکسپیرینس ایک ورک پلیس میں کیسا ہوتا ہے, کتنے لوگ مجھے ہنس کے ملتے ہیں, کتنے لوگ مجھے ہاسٹائل طریقے سے ملتے ہیں, کتنے لوگ مجھے بناوٹی طریقے سے ملتے ہیں, اور مجھے پتہ ہے میرے پیچھے آج بھی کیا باتیں ہوتی ہیں. تو یہ رویے چینج ہونے کی ضرورت ہے. تو آئی تھنک کافی بول دیا.
کافی بول دیا آپ نے. تھینک یو جبران. I'll open the floor for the audience now. We have around 5 to 6 minutes if you guys have any questions.
I think we can hear you fine.
Thank you so much for this very engaging discussion. سوال میرا اوپن ہے, بٹ مے بی اٹس مور ڈائریکٹڈ ٹو واٹ جبران واز سیئنگ. آئی تھنک جبران واٹ یو ٹاکڈ اباؤٹ like so I work with gender-based violence survivors, and I also work on masculinity, so we engage young boys and men on masculinities. جو آپ بات کہہ رہے تھے نا, this idea that men think کہ عورت باہر نہیں نکلے کیونکہ باہر اس کو خطرہ ہے, لیکن جب ہم جی بی وی کے اسٹیٹسٹکس دیکھتے ہیں تو عورت کو سب سے زیادہ خطرہ اس کے اپنے گھر میں ہے, رائٹ. So even a home is not safe for a woman. And whenever I hear conversations on masculinities, allyship, کہیں نہ کہیں اس میں this unchecked accountability that men have as a gender, we don't really talk about it, right? So this self-accountability, self-reflection, empathy, that right now at large men and young boys lack, right? اور مجھے لگتا ہے کہ جب تک وہ نہیں آئے گی, جب تک ہم نوجوان لڑکوں میں ایمپتھی, سیلف ریفلیکشن کلٹیویٹ نہیں کریں گے, تو وہ کبھی بھی اپنے ایکشنز کو, اپنی ٹاکسک میسکولینٹیز پہ نہ ہی اس کی رسپانسبلٹی لے سکیں گے, نہ ہی ایک دوسرے کو اکاؤنٹیبل ہولڈ کر سکیں گے. سو آئی ریئلی وانٹ ٹو آسک فرام you people and whoever wants to answer this, of how do we cultivate that self-reflection and accountability in young boys, because I think boomers are a lost cause, men. Millennials, we can see, like, اب اس کے بعد جو Gen Z اور وہ آ رہے, اس پہ ہم تھوڑا کام کر سکتے ہیں for a better, more equal world. So that's my question from.
I think just very quickly, I totally agree, and I think it goes to what Gibran was talking about in terms of, how do you get men to actually show up decently? And we can be idealistic about this and hope it'll just happen, but like you're saying, we have to. There are a couple of things. There's definitely, whatever conversations and whatever influence are talking to people and, being emotional about it helps shift and, jog people. That's the very least we can do right now. I think in the bigger picture, the kind of change that you're talking about, actually women have control over that change because they're the mothers. Yeah, women, and I think women actually. Okay, let's not do that. So women have no burden. They just have to be true and talk to their kids about their own truth. That's not a burden. So if we can get exasperated, and say, no, I'm not going to do this for my kids. And you think men are going to stand up and do it because we're angry about it. I'm not sure.
Over the last few years, because I feel that in the last 30, 40 years, there's been so much investment in women's growth globally, but not in men's. And this one gentleman, he gave a very beautiful answer, which I hope answers your question as well. He said, I work by example. میں گھر میں برتن بھی دھوتا ہوں, میں کبھی کبھار کھانا بھی پکا لیتا ہوں, کیونکہ اگر میرا بیٹا دیکھتا ہے کہ میں یہ کر رہا ہوں نا, تو وہ پھر اپنی بیوی کے لیے کرتا ہے. دس واز این اولڈر جینٹلمین. He's like, he's married now, he has a child of his own. And working through example is the best way. For example, my brother, I think, spends more time with his son during the day than his wife does, because his wife has night duty. So it's about balance, and it's about creating that example at home, which is not just a woman's burden. I think it's like a household thing.
I think a lot of our society, getting to the places that you're describing of washing dishes and being trying.
And this man was in his 60s who said that. Just saying.
I just think the vast majority, if we're looking at social change, that's excellent. How do we get men to think like that without that happening in their childhood?
اچھا, میں اگر ایک جملہ بولوں, اگر اس کو آپ آئسولیشن میں سنیں گے تو آپ کو لگے گا کہ میں نے بہت ہی کنٹروورشل بات کی ہے, مگر اس کو ذرا سمجھنے کی کوشش کیجیے گا اگر میں صحیح سے آرٹیکولیٹ کر سکا تو. ہمارے معاشرے میں ماں کی عظمت نے عورت کو مار دیا. ٹھیک ہے, ماں کی عظمت نے عورت کو مار دیا ہے. اس کو سمجھنے کی کوشش کیجیے. ماں تو بچے کو بتاتی رہتی ہے کہ بیٹا اچھے انسان بنو, پیارے انسان بنو, سب بنو, مگر ماں کی عظمت کیا ہے, یہ وہ ہے جو بچہ پرسیو کر رہا ہے. اور ماں کی عظمت میں شامل ہے ماں کا برداشت کرنا, ماں کا گالی برداشت کرنا, ماں کا مار برداشت کرنا, ماں کا برا رویہ برداشت کرنا. تو اس کے ذہن میں ماں کی عظمت تو وہ ہے, بٹ ماں کا جو رول پیرلل چل رہا ہے, ہاریزونٹل چل رہا ہے اپنے شوہر کے ساتھ, اس میں وہ ہے کہ وہ عظیم ہی تب ہوتی ہے جب وہ یہ ساری چیزیں برداشت کرتی ہے. تو جب آپ خود شوہر بنتے ہیں تو آپ کو یہ تو پتہ ہے کہ آپ کی بیوی آپ کی اولاد کے لیے بڑی عظیم ہے, مگر اس کی عظمت بڑھانے کے لیے آپ اس کے ساتھ وہی کر رہے ہیں جو آپ کے ابو آپ کی امی کے ساتھ کرتے تھے. ٹھیک ہے, اور آپ کے ذہن کے اندر ہے کہ بھئی وہ تو, اس لیے ہر بچہ جو ہے نا وہ اپنی ماں کو لے کے بہت سینٹی اور ماں کی عظمت گنوا رہا ہے, مگر وہ ایک بڑا ایک سڈسٹک قسم کا, پیراڈاکسل قسم کا یہ ایک چیز ہے کہ وہ وہی چیزیں ظلم کر رہا ہے اپنی بیوی کے ساتھ بھی. تو یہ بڑا ضروری ہے کہ گھر میں صرف اچھی ماؤں کی نہیں, اچھے باپ کی بہت ضرورت ہے, میل رول ماڈلس کی بہت ضرورت ہے. ٹھیک ہے, دیکھیں ٹو بی ویری آنیسٹ, میرے قصے کے اندر تو میں فارچونیٹ تھا, صحیح ہے, اینڈ آئی ول ٹیل یو ہاؤ. آئی ہیو لرنڈ ہاؤ ٹو بی اے گڈ فادر اور in a providing role from my own father, but I have learned how to be a good or a decent husband from my nana. So yeah, and I had the good fortune کہ میری childhood میں upbringing میں دونوں بڑے اچھے کردار تھے. تو مجھے جو ہے باپ کیسے بنتے ہیں ایک اچھا, اپنے جو ڈپینڈنٹس ان کے لیے پرووائڈ کیسے آپ نے کرنا ہے, ان کی ضرورتوں کا کیسے خیال رکھنا ہے, یہ میں آج بھی اپنے والد کو دیکھ کے یاد کرتا ہوں. مگر ایک شوہر, ایک پارٹنر کیسے اچھا بننا ہے, اپنی بیگم کے سارے شوق بھی کیسے پورے کرنے ہیں, ٹینٹرمس بھی کیسے پورے کرنے ہیں, اس کو منانا بھی کیسے, اس کے ساتھ ایک ڈیسنٹ ریلیشن شپ بھی کیسے لے کے چلنا ہے, یہ میں نے اپنے نانا سے سیکھا ہے. تو مجھے یہ گڈ فارچون تھا, میں نے کسی کتاب سے نہیں سیکھا, میری کوئی نیٹ فلکس کی ڈاکیومنٹری نے زندگی نہیں بدل کے رکھ دی, یہ ایئرز انگرینڈ ہے. تو میرے پاس یہ گڈ فارچون تھا جس کا فائدہ میری بیگم کو پہنچ رہا ہے. اب کتنا پہنچ رہا ہے اور ہم کتنے اچھے رول ماڈلز ہیں کہ نہیں, ہم جو بھی باتیں کر رہے ہیں اس کا خلاصہ صرف تب ہوگا جب آپ ہماری بیگمات کو یہاں بٹھا کے ہم سے پوچھیں گے کہ یہ جو بھائی بول بچن کر رہے ہیں یہ اس میں کتنا تیل ہے. ٹھیک ہے, تو فی الحال تو فیس ویلیو پہ آپ لے لیجئے کہ ہم بہت شاندار لوگ ہیں, اور تالیاں بجائیے ہمارے لیے.
Now, we'll take 3 brief questions, not statements.
آپ کی بات بالکل صحیح ہے کہ عورت گھر میں محفوظ نہیں ہے, مگر وہی مرد جو کہتے ہیں نا باہر جاؤ گی تو یہ کچھ ہوگا, اس کا ایک اور دوسرا بھی انٹرپریٹیشن ہے کہ وہ جو بیگم کے ساتھ کر رہا ہے مار پیٹ, وہ اصلاح ہے, وہ وائلنس ہے ہی نہیں, وہ اپنے آپ کو وائلنٹ ماننے کو ہی تیار نہیں ہے.
Thank you. I would have to take 3 questions. I have 2 gentlemen before you who raised hands, so there's one over here. So only brief questions, no statements, to the point. Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to know how to deal with toxic masculinity in workplaces. Do you have any, like...
کٹا دیں ان کو بس. جگہ نہیں ہے ان کو ٹھیک ہے.
Courage. Just look deep inside and bring up as much courage as you can to stand up to it. That's it. It's scary, but you can do it.
Raising their hands since a while now. And you guys will have ample time to talk about this topic after the session too. I've been told to wrap it up. Sorry for this.
As you talked about how you were privileged to have your nana as a point to look at, to treat, I think it's very important to actually show rather than tell, because people can tell one thing but show another, and us as men, we mostly do as we see. As the old saying, monkey see, monkey do. So what do you think? We should actually like start with shouldn't we first coach the parents in a way to show them like if they continue down this road, what it could actually impact?
Regardless of whatever your upbringing has been, your parents have lived their life and your life is ahead of you. Nothing, this can be an excuse that I'm like this because I was brought up like this, but nothing I believe stops you from developing and progressing in your personal life and becoming a better person as well. So agar aap ye kahen ki because I'm of this origin, this ethnicity, this region, this is my language, this is my religion, this is my culture, this is what upbringing me, and this is how I'll always be, so ek escapist attitude hai where you've actually found all external factors to defend your very internal character. ٹھیک ہے, تو وہ آپ بھاگ رہے ہیں اور آپ ڈیفیٹ نہیں ایکسیپٹ کرنا چاہتے یا ماننا نہیں چاہتے کہ آپ ایک بھائیات انسان ہیں. تو کوئی آپ کو چیز نہیں روکتی یہ خود سے بات کرنے میں کہ بھائی مجھے ایک بہتر انسان بننے کی ضرورت ہے, اس لیے نہیں کیونکہ میں اپنی بیوی کو امپریس کر سکوں, اس لیے کہ میں خود بھی چین کی نیند سو سکوں اور مجھے خود بھی سکون آئے اور میرے ڈیمنز نہ ہوں اندر جن سے میں آپ کو فرار اختیار ہوں.
I'm sorry, I've been told to cut it off now. I think Gibran and Imran Saab will be here for a while, so you guys can talk to them one-on-one or however you may like it. Thank you so much, Imran Saab. Thank you, Gibran. And thank you, everyone.